What is up, guys? My name is Gamer, and welcome back to Spyro, You're the Dragon Reignited. And all that HD glow. We're off to Seashell Shores today, and if you can't tell by my very red compressed shirt thing, I'm actually going to the gym later on today. Figured I'd get these done in the morning, because tonight it's WWE 2K19 messing around in 8-man matches night with all my friends. And I want to use tonight to make some videos, or to make another wrestler, and just revamp my current ones. And then tonight, so I'm getting these videos done today. These videos should be up, the last 3 to 5 should be up already at this point, and then this one will be up shortly after. Also, we'll remember an NXT takeover have happened and passed a week ago. And I'll be using this video to talk about it, so by the time this goes up, this will be like Monday, I think this goes up. So plenty of time will have passed. The Rhinox failed to see the humour in the actions. Ain't nothing like committing a crime. No, the secret ingredient is crime. A common in-joke in our house. But NXT TakeOver Phoenix happened last Saturday night. Very good, I might say so. Where the hell am I? So what happened is there was some belt changes. Johnny Gargano became North American champion. And I can't remember who got the tag team belts, but I think it was a couple new guys and not the Undisputed Era. I think they lost the belts. But it was quite interesting. Tommaso Ciampa, or Tomato Champion as I call him, retained the NXT champion belt, and Shayna Baszler retained a women's champion. I mean, she managed to get cut open by Bianca Belair's really long plait, which is like a really weird thing because I didn't realise that hair could be that vicious. But here we are. But it's pretty good. Now the Rumble was brilliant. There were some weird bits, there were some not so weird bits. There was also something really awesome happening. And I called a couple of the fights. So the first thing happened was, there was the pre-show which I didn't watch, but that was Nakamura versus Rusev for US title, and Chad Gable and Bobby Roode versus a couple dudes, the tag team. And the fun thing is, that one I don't really care about because Nakamura got US Championship again and then he's lost it again recently.
If you want a quick summary of your progress in a world,
and the first match of the night was Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the Women's SmackDown Championship. Now, Asuka retained and she's still currently champion. Becky Lynch tapped out. She suffered a wardrobe malfunction, which is a bit unfortunate. But this is like WWE, they know how to handle these things. They mute the audio if someone starts swearing, and they will black out the camera if someone's top accidentally gets pulled open. That kind of thing. And then after that, it was the best tag team in the world, which is Shane McMahon and The Miz, versus The Bar for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Now, that one was a weird one. We kind of all had this idea that The Bar, which is Sheamus and Cesaro, they were going to retain the tag team title. But, in a strange turn of events, Shane McMahon, who is almost 50 years old, managed to land a shooting star and basically managed to win them the tag team belts. A shooting star is a move where you stand on the top rope, your opponent is down on the floor, and you basically do like a backwards flip. It's not so much a moonsault. Oh wait, it's not backwards flip, that's a moonsault. It's basically you do like a front flip right over and you land on them. Pretty interesting thing. Surprised that Shane McMahon could do it, but then Shane McMahon is a crazy dude. Like, this is a man who wants to try to elbow drop someone off the top of a steel cage. That's how crazy he is. But then he managed to win, and there was like a whole thing with the Mrs. Father being in the audience. And he was just like, oh, he's like gained his father's love or something silly along those lines. But it was an interesting, it was a surprisingly good match. Like, because the Miz is one of those guys where he's like a really good heel because he can just play the ego thing down really well. And Shane McMahon is, you know, corporate, bit of a face. And I think they're trying to turn him heel, especially after the whole crown jewel thing where Shane McMahon is the best in the world, which is a title that I will always find amazing no matter what, because Shane McMahon being the best in the world is probably the best, like, thing anyone has ever had to say. Then after that, it was Ronda Rousey versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Tag Team. Just the Raw Women's Championship, not the tag team. The women's tag team thing is not a thing currently, but they have recently announced some belts for it. Really nice white and gold belts as well. And basically, I think that's going across the factions. And so they're going to be announcing that at Elimination Chamber in a couple weeks. Sasha Banks lost. I can't remember if she tapped out or if Ronda pinned her. I think she might have, if I remember rightly, I think she got pinned. I can't remember. All I know is that Ronda Rousey won. And she is still retaining. And then the Women's Rumble happened. Now, I have to mention something that happened in the pre-show. So basically, while Nakamura and Rusev were fighting for the US Championship belt, Lana, being Rusev's wife and like kind of, I guess like ringside ally, I guess is how you describe it. She was like yelling at Nakamura, and then Rusev went to run at Nakamura, but Nakamura jumped out the way and Rusev accidentally kneed his wife. And she fell off. She injured her leg, but she came out at number 29. And she was like limping along to the front, to the ring. And then she kind of like had to sit down because like her knee just couldn't take it. And so Becky Lynch came out and she was like, let me in the Rumble. She can't even walk. And they let Becky Lynch in and she won the Royal Rumble. And we were all kind of seeing that coming because Becky Lynch is getting pushed incredibly so far. But now that Becky Lynch has won the Royal Rumble, she is not only going to WrestleMania, but she has selected Ronda Rousey as her opponent. So she's going after the Raw Women's Championship belt, which is pretty awesome because, like, Becky Lynch is kind of awesome, and they have kind of like started hinting at something called the Four Horsewomen, which is Becky, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, and Sasha Banks is like, I think that was what they were in like their NXT days, I think, 'cause apparently they were all in the NXT together at one point. I'm so cute, little baby. But it was a good match. Then after that it was Intercontinental wasn't the belt fight, was it? No. I remember the next one of them was then it was AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the Heavyweight Championship. And this was interesting because Daniel Bryan, being a heel, being a whole, he's been doing the whole eco-warrior thing lately. Like, that's his gimmick as being a heel. So he's all like, we're destroying the planet. Ow. Which is actually pretty cool. It's actually a pretty cool thing he's got going. It's not the bad. It's not like really bad, but I pretty enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a lot. I don't know what happened there just now. But Daniel Bryan, I think it looked like AJ Styles was going to get the win, but then Daniel Bryan won, and Rowan from the Wyatt family came out and helped Daniel Bryan, and they kind of gave each other this kind of like look that they were kind of allies or something. It was weird. But what was interesting is the fact that Rowan is now also jumping on the eco train, the eco warrior train, which is it's an interesting, like, it's like an interesting thing. And then the next fight was the one that a lot of people were anticipating because of the theme they've attached to it. And that theme was David versus Goliath, because that match was Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Now, the Universal Championship, barely anyone sees that on stage. Barely anyone sees that on Raw now, because Brock Lesnar has in his contract that he can only do like, he's like, it's weird because they make him like this, it's like he's a part-time wrestler in the WWE world, because he's mainly a UFC fighter, and apparently he's a really good UFC fighter as well. And a lot of people don't like the fact that he's been holding onto this belt and doing absolutely nothing with it. There is also the thing that Brock Lesnar cannot cut his own promo, so he's got Paul Heyman acting as his manager to do it for him.
Our beach is your beach.
Thank you, Snappy. It's a whole thing. But Finn Balor won a fatal 4-way to go after the belt, because they want him as like they gave him this bit of a push, especially because he was in NXT UK Blackpool recently. They got him in for a fight against a guy who everyone chants as "You're just a shit, Finn Balor," because this guy was also Irish, and I think Finn Balor had trained him. And they basically had a fight, and Finn Balor won. It was like it looked kind of like a learning kind of like thing for the kid. But they were painting this fight as David versus Goliath, like that whole parable of the giant that the guy goes for. I don't remember much of the story, unfortunately. But the thing was, it was a good match. It was a really good match. The only thing was that Brock Lesnar got Finn Balor into this like sort of I think it's called the Brock Lock. I think that's what. No, it wasn't the Brock Lock. It was like something else. He had like got him on the ground, like every body part kind of wrapped around him to keep him down, and then Finn Balor, either he was exhausted or he just couldn't move, so he tapped out. Which, it's kind of a disappointing way to go. But the thing was Finn Balor didn't let Brock Lesnar get like an F25 in throughout the whole match. Or an F5 rather. And an F5 is basically like his kind of signature move that he always does. And it was like they painted it as a really good match, and everyone was anticipating it, but everyone kind of knew what the outcome was going to be. Which was kind of a bit of a bummer, really. But it was a good match despite the ending. And it was like really interesting to watch, because Finn Balor is a cruiserweight. He is very lean and got a lot of stamina. He's like 180 pounds, I think. He's in the cruiserweight class, because you have to be over 205 pounds to become a light heavyweight, which is why people call Pete Dunne the bruiserweight, because he's on the exact like weight between cruiserweight and light heavyweight.
Chock full of rhinox and floating mines.
And
way to retrieve that egg
it was like a good match. But now I think like Brock, everyone thinks Brock is going to lose it at WrestleMania, which we feel is the only way that they're gonna. I feel it's the only way they're just gonna paint it. But now comes on to the main event that happened after, which was the men's Royal Rumble. Now I'm going to be honest, the women's Royal Rumble I think was a little bit better. The women kind of held out for a lot more, and there was just, I think it was just an all-round better like match to watch, I think, because a lot of the men had like were going in and out really quickly, but I think it's because they only had like an hour to do it, because this was almost a 5-hour show as well. 6 hours if you add the pre-show. And there was some interesting entrants. Like you had there was this Hall of Famer called Jeff Jarrett who's apparently returned to WWE, and he is like, I think like they're meant to be the original Elias. Elias, who is a guy who basically sits in the ring with a guitar, tries to get a song out, someone interrupts him, that annoys him, and he starts beating them up. It's always kind of fun. I got to see Elias live last year. He was awesome. Yeah, I know, I gotta defeat every Rhinoc. The interesting thing was everyone had slated Drew McIntyre to win the Rumble, because I think they're pushing him to be, like, I guess not the face of the company, because that's, I think they still want Roman Reigns to be the face of the company, despite the fact that I think he's on recovery currently. And, okay, get out of the way, you stupid seal. An interesting thing that happened was Drew McIntyre got booted out of the ring, I think, like, during, after, when it was, like, down to the last 10, I think. Because Seth Rollins came in at number 10, and I had always slated Seth Rollins to win. Because he is my boy, he is my boy Rollins, he is one of my faves.
This egg has surprisingly good fluid dynamic characteristics. From now on, all of our submarines will be egg-shaped.
That's great, Sandy. That was so cute. Yeah, I'd slated Seth Rollins to win, whilst I think other people were going on Drew McIntyre. But this was the thing that happened. So, at one point in the ring, it was Mustafa Ali, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio. Seth Rollins was still in, despite the fact that he'd been pulled out from under the ropes, and then Bobby Lashley kind of just went crazy on him and like threw him through a table. So he was out of commission for I think like 10 minutes, just lying there for them just trying to see if he was okay.
My plan worked. That dumb octopus dropped the jail key while he was shaking me. Now I can free my friends.
And R-Truth came in at number 30. Now, prior to the Royal Rumble, the mixed match challenges have been happening, which is basically where a guy and girl team up in a tag team match against another guy and girl, but they can only attack their own gender, to put it lightly. So, R-Truth and Carmella were the winners, and they won a vacation to Connecticut, which was kind of funny. But also, they both got the number 30 entrant at the Royal Rumble. That was like kind of the other big thing that you were gunning for in the matches. And R-Truth came in number 30, but before he was able to even start walking to the ring, because he has this kind of hype-up moment, Nia Jax came out and completely beat the crap out of him, and then entered the Rumble in his place. A load of people were like, what the fuck? Because Mustafa Ali had no clue what to do, and she just yeeted him over the ring. But then the funniest thing happened. Rey Mysterio pulled a 619 on Nia Jax, leading to an RKO from Randy Orton, and then right after that, Dolph Ziggler kicked her in the face with a zigzag. Was it zigzag? No, it was like a super kick to the face.
Okay, good.
And it was so funny. She did get, like, booted out as well. But the whole thing was just kind of funny that she... Because the thing is, she has a bit of an infamous reputation. A lot of fans don't like her because she caused Becky Lynch to have a concussion, which took her out of Survivor Series, and was why... Which was why there was no Ronda versus Becky at Survivor Series, because she had basically taken that I hate this fight.
Wow,
But I did it.
That's the first time Bluto has ever lost. You dragons must have a ton of talent. I hope this egg was worth all the trouble.
Know where I smelt. So yeah, Nia Jax had been in the Women's Rumble. I think she came out at like number 28 or something. She did get, no, not number 20. She came in the 20s because she did get booted out as well. But it was just kind of weird how Nia Jax came in of her own volition, to put it mildly, as if this was all, you know, half of it wasn't scripted. Some of it obviously is scripted, but other things weren't. But it was just weird to see Nia Jax come in. She took a beating from the blokes, but it looked like they didn't really do that much damage to her. An interesting note about Nia Jax is she is the only woman heavyweight. She is like, I think she says she's 300 pounds. But she's the only heavyweight woman. And a lot of that is muscle. She's also Samoan from the Anoa'i family because she is The Rock's cousin. She comes from The Rock's side of the blood brother pact. I'm missing 6 gems. And people just thought it was kind of a weird thing to happen. I thought just watching her get an RKO from Randy Orton was funny. It sounds kind of mean, but you know, it was just funny to watch. Of course, Seth Rollins won the Royal Rumble because it was down to him and Braun Strowman right at the end. And that was actually a pretty cool fight. It was pretty cool. I slated Seth Rollins to win and he won, which I was super chuffed about. Oh, I know where they are. Did it! Yay. But I enjoyed watching the men's rumble a bit more. There were some pretty good additions. They had a couple NXT stars in. Pete Dunne was over there because him being UK champion currently for NXT UK, he debuted in the Rumble midway through, lasted quite well, and then he got booted over. Johnny Gargano from NXT was in there as well. And, oh, was there another NXT star? I just remember those two specifically from the NXT, because the women's Rumble had Rhea Ripley, who was formerly UK champion, and like Kairi Sane, who was former women's NXT champion as well. And there was like some other ones as well. Quite a few women from the NXT popped up. But it was actually a really good show. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And Elimination Chamber is coming up, so I'm looking forward to what that is going to bring. But we're actually at the end of the video. I've spent all of this talking about the Royal Rumble. And basically just the latest pay-per-view weekend. And Elimination Chamber is coming up, and that's going to be fun. So thank you guys so much for watching me play Spyro the Dragon Reignited. Leave it a like if you liked it. Leave a comment in the comment box below. Subscribe if you're new, and click that bell so you always get a video as soon as it goes out. I have a Twitter at RipplerGamer. Follow me on there for live games and wrestling updates. I also have an Instagram under the same name. And I also have a Patreon. Donate to me on there if you'd like to. Even if it's just $1, you can help me become a full-time content creator. And I have a book on Amazon as well. It's called The Strange Secrets of Dumbrock Academy. It's down in the description as well. It is £1. It's an ebook. You can finish it in an afternoon. If you enjoy it, share it, leave it a good review, and let people know that the book is out there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.